Mid-Valley Sports Show. It's Tuesday night. We're about 17 days away from the high school football season of 2015. And what I think back is we've been doing this, not the show specifically, but we've been doing this covering football now for going into 16 years.
Yeah,
I would say because it's 2015. I always think 2000 is kind of the starting point, but actually it was 1999.
Yeah, I got back
into the old SGV
weekly.
The weekly.
I got back into it in 1998.
Yeah.
Mid-season, and I was at Temple City on their semifinal run. Did a little
with
bit
the SGV Weekly, the Dana Basket's paper. Yeah.
Did a little bit of 99, and then we pulled together the staff for the first time in 2000. That was the whole 2 laptops, dial-up, internet. Saved everything to a floppy.
I remember that.
4 guys around the kitchen table.
Yeah, us 3, and Jim Saxon, I think, was there, and Riley helped us out a little bit. But yeah, that was the original staff. And here it is 16 years later, and we're on the cusp of another year, about 17 days away from the high school football season. And man, I mean, what a season it's going to be. I mean, I just think back already. We talk about this every year, but it seems like this year a lot of coaching changes that happened. I mean, I'm pretty sure everything's been filled now, right? Mm-hmm. Has there been one that we're still thinking, that still needs to be filled? I think everything.
Well, it's one thing.
I mean, Bellflower was really late, but they filled it with Roderick Curtis.
Yeah.
That was probably the latest one. Everything else should be set. I mean, but it's just, a lot of coaching changes this year.
The one thing you know for sure, though, is that anything can happen nowadays.
Yeah.
Anything can happen. Literally, I know we kind of changed format. We had different things. Obviously, I've been busy and everything. But the truth is that football never stopped this year. I'm looking at, 21 coaching changes, let alone all the transfers. You know, the transfer that kind of flew under the radar because they're not necessarily, but they're in our coverage area, but it's just not a guy. There was a guy we had all Mid-Valley last year that played for, we named him all Northwest, Devere Hamilton from Verbum Day.
Oh, okay.
Do you remember that guy?
Yeah.
Defensive end, linebacker, receiver, guy did everything. Guy transferred to Long Beach Poly.
Yeah.
And I don't have on the board there. Well, next year what we got to do on the board is every transfer that we know about, we got to put it up there because we had 21 or so coaching changes. How many transfers do you think we had? I mean, we had a ton of transfers.
Which kind of made sense.
And so the football season,
I mean, Verbum Day isn't the Verbum Day of yours. They were kind of down, and of course, Poly. I mean, it's Long Beach Poly.
So let me go through this. We're going to talk about Mid-Valley Division right now. We did our Final Four poll last week, and we published it last week. We're in the middle of Southeast poll right now. It's funny, Cathedral and Downey and all them are kind of on top of that one. But
imagine that.
I know. Mid-Valley poll. Number 1 vote getter was Paraclete. Everyone believes in the cleat. And then you got Pomona, Sierra Canyon, and Northview. And I'm buying Sierra Canyon. I'm buying Paraclete. I'm very hesitant about myself personally about Pomona. And I like Northview, but the one problem I see with Northview is will that offensive line come about? And
I was about the same 4 teams that were there last year, where you had Cleat and Pomona in the finals, and you had Northview.
Yeah.
Semifinal.
And then Sierra Canyon was there too, and they got knocked out. When did they get knocked out?
Pomona beat Sierra Canyon.
Okay, so they were out.
Remember, Sierra Canyon was down to its 3rd quarterback.
Yeah.
Last year.
Yeah, because even their backup by that.
Yeah, Cole
Hollenquist was something like that.
Now
that sounds about right. I mean, I don't know. I don't know Sierra Canyon. I mean, every year they're competitive, so I'm sure they'll be good. Again, I don't know a whole lot about them in the offseason. We do know about Northview. We know about Pomona with the whole change with Lockett, going from quarterback and now he's somewhere else. But they, I saw him out there at the Bonita shootout, the Bonita Aerosol. They got guys. Yeah, I mean, Crutchfield was out there and everything, and their coach. But
which of those 4 teams do you think most likely to be derailed and not make it to the Final Four?
I would say probably Sierra Canyon.
Really?
Yeah,
I'd say Pomona.
Yeah, Harris is back, and some of those.
Yeah, you got experienced quarterback there, and I give Paraclete the benefit of the doubt, even though they don't have an experienced quarterback coming back. I think they do have KJ. They're moving KJ Latu to quarterback.
Yeah, and Paraclete.
Paraclete.
And I think Northview has the potential. You don't know for sure, but I think Northview almost has the potential to be better than they were.
Yeah,
last
I would
year.
say if you had to say which one's going to be most likely get.
Most vulnerable.
Most vulnerable is probably Pomona.
I would say so.
But it wouldn't shock me if they make it all the way to the final again either.
No, if you could survive all that disaster last year, no administrators want to go up with you to mission prep. You don't fire. You lose your coach mid-season. Darian Lockett was hurt last year. The game they played against Santa Monica, he didn't even play. His arm was in a sling. So but when you're looking at that board over there, I don't know if I see anybody in the Mission Valley. I don't see anybody, and definitely in the Miramonte. I don't see anybody else in the Gold Coast. I don't see anybody
In the Almont either.
out of the Montview. The only one in the Almont that there's two teams in the Almont that kind of interest me a little bit because every year they build just a little bit more is Montebello.
Yeah.
And have they crossed that line yet? I don't know if they have. And then
You mean in the elite team?
because they went to the second round last year.
Yeah, they
and
did.
then the
They
other
won
one
last
is that
year.
we're hearing a bunch of stuff about is Bell Gardens.
Yeah, we are hearing
The
about
one thing about Montebello, we started off pretty high on them last year at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
And what they do is their first four,
Well, and-
5 in a row or something
And they
like
look
that.
pretty.
And they
No,
were
they got-
getting beat handily.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
it wasn't until they got into Almont League play. In fact, yeah, it was they were see they went 7-5 overall. And they were
Yeah.
5-0. So yeah,
that was
yeah.
a disastrous Almont last year.
Yeah, but I remember that with Montebello because all of us kind of jumped off because I mean they were going into against teams like Diamond Bar, who wasn't a dominant team last year. Let's face it, they were a decent team, and they
got
just
smoked.
blew Montebello out.
I don't
And
know
was
what the
like, what's Montebello? I mean, they weren't even competing in some of those games.
And then they went second round. They went to Northview, and it was supposed to be a really physical game, and it was for Northview.
Yeah,
Northview,
for
Northview
Northview,
roughed
yeah,
them up.
for Northview.
And so the only question I come up with Montebello are they athletic enough
Yeah,
once you get beyond Mendebles to really mess with Sierra Canyon, to really mess with Paraclete. And so you have to wonder. The one I'm kind of interested in, and I'm not going to make any bets on them because there's so much transition, but I wouldn't shovel dirt on their grave just yet, is San Dimas and Covina a little bit.
Covina, I think is a little bit more interesting than San Dimas. San Dimas, I think, first year transition, I think they're going to struggle.
Well, I would not say it because Holman's there, but because it's a lot of staff transition too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
that's
they
what
are
I'm saying.
whole
returning.
staff, yeah.
But they are returning Jarrell Sykes. They are
And are
returning
they,
some guys.
are they returning and running same offense, or is
I
everything
gotta
changing?
believe they're gonna run the same because technically, Holman was the OC.
yeah,
So
yeah. I mean, even though Bill called on.
yeah. So
But when I was writing my column this year about Northview, I got a lot of feedback from the Covina people saying, "Hey, what about Eric Williams?"
we were talking about Eric Williams
I was
last
like,
week.
"Oh no, we know about him." And I replied to one comment. I said, "No, I know about Williams. He's a great player. In fact, I kind of would, in a way, I think Covina could finish ahead of San Dimas in that
Oh, I
division,
think they will.
and they could derail Northview. I don't know. I mean, I don't think they're up with Northview right now, but if it happened, I wouldn't be totally stunned. I mean, because Covina should be pretty good this year.
No, I
Yeah.
get that. I totally get that. It would be a logical thing. They've been taking little steps with Joe Brown,
Yeah.
and it would be a logical thing.
It's funny, Benavides, our quarterback, graduated, but the brother, Ray Benavides, is back as a running back. He gained about 400 or 500 yards last year. He's a running back for them.
Mhm.
And of course, they got Eric Williams. Covina always has some pretty good guys up front too, so they should be okay.
Okay, let me ask you one question here before we take a break. Can Steven Nava pass Roseby to the title in the Mission Valley League?
I still like Arroyo in that league.
Really?
Yeah.
Even though they don't have a pure passer.
No, but I mean they've been throwing so much. I mean I think Arroyo probably wins that.
And okay, then does Steven Nava have enough to outduel Edward Dominguez and Almani?
Yeah, I think so. I think they finish ahead of Monty.
So you see Almani as a third place team.
I think Dominguez is great.
I don't know because Roseby, their depth is hurting.
Yeah, but they didn't have depth last year.
They didn't have depth last year, but they had an experienced offensive line, which they don't have this year.
Yeah.
They don't have. That's
Yeah,
one
for
of
the
the
record,
struggles that they have.
I think a lot of people forget is Roseby was 6-0,
Yeah.
7-5 overall, which means they did really well in league.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think they're going to struggle this year because that's talking to Coach Paramo earlier is that they are really inexperienced and smaller on the offensive line than they've been in a long time,
Mhm.
which is not normal for Roseby.
No.
So I think they're going to
Have
struggle.
you got the feeling though, real quick before I know?
I think it's more. I think Mission Valley is more open than most people.
that
think right
you got the feeling that Paramo is like. I mean, if you notice, like he's like a really good coach. I think.
Really? That kind of,
You don't think
so?
he's
that kind of came just now?
no,
It
no,
just
I
dawns
know.
on you.
Okay,
Yeah,
can we
yeah,
say that?
kind of
We
because
got to take a break. Can we-
because he all those years of Koffler and then he steps in and you think,
this reminds me of back being at the old
no,
studio
that was Escamilla.
where we're ready
Yeah.
to get off the air, and it's like,
Oh,
dude,
one
stop
more
asking
question.
questions. We're gonna take a break. We're gonna come back. Mid Valley Sports Show.